Hello and welcome to the Health Gaming Podcast. I'm Bradley, and once again I'm joined by Stu in what I think is our 31st episode together. Would that be right, Stu?
It is 31st, and perfectly said. Yeah.
31st, yes, that sounds about right. So it's going to be a bit of a shorter one, quite possibly, unless Stu's feeling too weak to actually stop me talking at any point this time round, because you're a little bit under the weather. But generally, apart from that, how are you?
Not too bad. Yeah, it's good to meet up the other day when we got together and finally said hello in person and saw each other's families and stuff. That was really nice. So a whole new era.
Socially distanced
Yeah,
though.
Just about, yeah.
There was no sort of like stripping down, oiling up and wrestling.
Sadly not. Save that for winter.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, no, it was good, and we'll come. I'm going to come a bit more to my recent trip up to Liverpool after we've done the game section. Have you been playing much?
Not a massive amount. I played some Elite Dangerous. Finally, jumping on that bandwagon only about 5 or 6 years late. So the reason why was because I got a HOTAS, so that's a flight stick with a throttle. Got that from I don't know, some guy I met. I have no idea. Yeah, no.
Do you know what it means? Do you know what HOTAS means without looking
It means it's something like hold and throttle assist. No, something like that.
Hands on throttle and stick.
Hands on throttle and stick. Right, got it. Yeah.
Which also sounds like some kind of sex position.
It all sounds sexy, doesn't it? Yeah, you can't get away from it. But sexiness is, unlike Elite Dangerous, is like the mirror opposite of sexy. It's when you're travelling across the universe, you'd have to travel for many, many years to find sexy, because it's the least sexy game. So it's entirely, obviously, a space flight simulator, spaceship simulator. And based on the old game, obviously, it's a much delayed sequel to Frontier and Elite before that. And yeah, I was holding off on getting a proper flight stick and it being cheap and being able to play in VR. So the three finally aligned this last few days. It's magnificent in VR. It's just that there are quite a few VR games that have you in space, but there aren't very many that are a full, proper, massive game like this that still has tons of controls. I mean, was just saying that there's the downside in that because it's so complex, you do have to refer to like what the controls are, and that means taking your headset off to have a look at a bloody long list. But I'm getting the hang of it. Anyway, it's absolutely fantastic. It's not for everybody. It's a sim, so it's more about the control and the moment-to-moment use of the controls to do something very precise, more than it is to achieve objectives. And so, that won't appeal to everybody. But it's really clicked in me, and I've not been able to be in it as much as I want, but I'm still really enjoying it.
Yeah, it's Elite Dangerous. I would put it up there where it's a space version of like Microsoft Flight Simulator or Train Simulator. It's like what you'd imagine if someone's gone so many, many years into the future, flown some ships around and has decided to make a simulator game based on it, because everything just feels so real within that game, even without VR or anything like that. It just feels so real. What you need to do to get through to certain objectives, how you pilot the ship, the way you move between various different worlds, solar systems, galaxies, whatever. It feels like a sim born out of reality rather than something that's overly fantastical, if that makes sense.
Yeah. There are very few sort of shortcuts in it that I've found that defy physics. I mean, there are some, obviously, but I think it sticks to its model. It goes, right, we're doing this, we're modelling it like this, there's light speed, but we'll try and do it in the Star Trek kind of way rather than the Star Wars kind of way. So yeah,
I believe if I'm right, and I might have just made this up, so it's a fact in the politics way, a fact is a fact, but I believe it is a completely accurately modelled universe.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it does have Earth and it does have the Milky Way galaxy, and it's all properly set out, and you can travel to anywhere that's been discovered. Even far-flung places, they are accurately modelled and you can get there. And I just find that fascinating that is possible in a game.
Yeah, it's staggering. Yeah, amazing. It's not quite as amazing as the very first game, which was 10K or something. But even so, that wasn't fully accurately modelled, so we'll let it off. But I think both games, both the very original one from 30 odd years ago and this one, are equally as sort of forward thinking and busting the limits of what can be done in terms of modelling and accuracy. So yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, no, absolutely brilliant. And on the size of games like that, when you get Rockstar boasting about the size of San Andreas, and then you just go, yeah, but in 1984.
Yeah.
Correct me? Yeah. Frontier and David Brabham done that with Elite to a much grander scale in 10K of space. So,
Yeah, I know.
Until you could accurately do that in Grand Theft Auto, then Grand Ship Auto. There you go.
Oh, there you go. There's a new franchise.
Well, they need to do something. Saints Row went into space, I think, so...
Did it?
GTA can't do it.
I didn't enjoy GTA games, so I didn't bother playing Saints Row either, but they sound like they take themselves less seriously than the GTA games.
Yeah, oh no, definitely. I much prefer Saints Row on a personal level. But no, that's again, the more you get into Elite Dangerous, the more you'll lose yourself to it. Trust me on that one. I lost ages to that.
Awesome.
I've been a lot more grounded than you have then. And it's not because I've not played Grounded. That would have been a nice segue. Anyway, I've been playing a lot of puzzle games, a lot of Sudoku, some Sliverling. I've done a stream last week going through some of the various different variations of Sudoku, and those have been great fun. I love a logic puzzle, and it was really interesting trying to solve it with other people helping you, doing puzzles that I'd already done before. And it's what I love about logic puzzles. You can do one and you can literally go back to it the next day and you still have to solve it again.
Yeah.
If you do a crossword, you know the answers because you've done the answers. But you do a logic puzzle and you wipe it, your brain goes, what? This is brand new. You can have a set of 5 or 6 different Sudokus 1 week at the start of the month, go back at the end of the month, you'd have brain just can't take in. Now, don't get me wrong, I dare say there's some people out there who could look at a Sudoku puzzle, do it once, pick it up a year later and know exactly where everything goes. But that's not the average person. But yeah, I love them. I absolutely love them. They're up there with games like Tetris that set me up for playing other games. I would play a Sudoku game before going into a deck building game or something, because it allows me to think logically. It allows me to work things out, and I suppose this is what I call them, is great warm-up games for playing other games and for everyday life. It allows me to really focus my brain more than anything, but on my list all week.
Yes. Sorry, you're fading out often for me, and it's quite crackly. I don't know if it's something that you can hear your end.
No, it seems fine my end, but I did just move away from the mic a bit there, so that is...
Oh, you've gone again.
Got me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, so I keep moving away from the mic. I've got to sit still.
Ah, right, okay. Yeah, sorry to
you can leave that bit in if you... No, you can leave that bit in if you want, because it covers my ADHD as well.
Fair play.
But yeah, no, aside from that, it's been quiet for me in terms of games this week, but I've got lots I want to play next week, including one I can't talk about yet.
Have you told me about it offline?
I can tell you what the game is, I just can't talk about it. It's Cloud Gardens.
Okay. I don't know
which is one. No, it's an indie game. It's an indie game. It's, Kel surprise. Basically, it's growing nature up little dioramas of urban areas. I can't say much more, but yeah, I can't wait to talk about it, which might give you a little clue as to if it's good or not.
Yeah, it sounds like you think it's terrible. But, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, we might as well move on from games. We did say this was going to be a relatively short episode. Yeah, it's been an interesting week for me. As you know, because I came to see you, and I said last week, I actually had a trip away this week. I went up to Liverpool to spend the weekend. Go up there because I moved up there a while ago. My son was born there before we came back down south, so we like to visit. Done a few of the touristy things that you do because it's great for my son to go and take photos and help hone his craft. But one of the things that really struck me was I miss it. I miss being there. And we can't afford to live where we are. We can't afford to move out of our tiny flat where we are. It's just too expensive down in the southeast. So we took a bit of a decision as a family that we are ready to save some money and move back to Liverpool. We was comfortable there. It's a cheaper way of life, and there's just so many more opportunities there than what we get here, which sounds ludicrous when you think we're right on top of London. But the issue comes from, if I want to look for work in mental health, there's not actually that much around surrounding areas of London. There's very minimal jobs in Chelmsford. Loads in London. But then that requires really expensive trips into London on a daily basis. And was looking at the cost of doing so from where I am, and it becomes a point where you're going, is it worth the travel? I'm going to be spending so much on travel, having to get up stupidly early to get anywhere. And it just was like, that's not really feasible. So what options are there locally? And not very many. I mean, there are jobs, but you feel that you'll be fighting with a much larger local pool to get less jobs. Whereas when I looked in the northwest, even using Liverpool as a base, I could look at Warrington or surrounding areas there. But from Liverpool to Manchester, even to Leeds and places like that, yes, the travel's there, but it's cheaper for a start. And the difference in wages now isn't as vast as it used to be. So it's not as if it all offsets as the same. So looking at it, career opportunities for me are very much there. For my kids, for Lucas especially, there's so much in the northwest that he can get to with ease to go and take photos. Looking at it, John Moores University has a great program when it comes to creative, so that's there for him as well. And hopefully with money we save by living somewhere like that, will give my kids a chance of saving money themselves to be able to actually afford their own place and not repeat the same mistakes we made as parents. So yeah, it's really weird. It's something we've been thinking about for quite some time, but it just kind of really hammered it home this weekend, being like there and realising how many people we still know in the northwest and that are fairly close to us. And yeah, I think we're hoping by the time he starts year 10 at school, which is next year, we can be moved ready for him.
Yeah, that would be really great for you. Yeah, I really like the northwest. So yeah, I live in Chester, and that's, if you want to know where Chester is, then watch that Alan Partridge episode where he has the Stalker superfan, and Alan Partridge explains where it is. But yeah, so we met up in Cheshire Oaks, which a lot of people know, even if they've not really been up to the northwest very often. So it's a big shopping centre, but Chester's a nice place to live. The northwest still feels like a bit of an anti-Brexit enclave, which is great, but it was not enough for me, and me and my wife had made the decision to move to Scotland when the Brexit thing happened, and we kind of done all the prep in our minds. We've spoken to our families and had bad reactions and good reactions, and we weathered that storm, and we were just starting to make the full-on plans for a full move, and then COVID hit, and it really hurt our mental health, because we were, once we'd made that decision, we were so happy. We were afraid, not afraid, but we were trepidatious and we were excited. But, you know, we were really, really looking forward to it. It felt like being young again in a way. And making that decision to move it clicked. It was like, you know, turning on a switch. It just felt like it fell into the right position. So, and is that how you're feeling now that you've made your choice?
It's weird because I'm going back to somewhere where I lived for a little while. A partner lived there as well for a good while. So for me, it's now I've got an achievable goal. We've always known we've got to move out of here. You know, our 3-year-old daughter still sleeps in the same room with us, and that's going to start getting strange soon. She's going to realise it. We could do without her, you know, pretty much sharing a bed with us. My son is 13 now. He's not going to want to share a room for a couple of years with a 5-6-year-old little sister when he's going to want time to himself. So it's now an achievable goal. We knew we could never really afford to do it. And it was like, yeah, we'll get round to it. We'll find somewhere. But a 3-bedroom house where we are, we're looking at £1,500 a month. You know, I don't think I've found many properties near £1,500 in Liverpool, at least. So, you know, if you look at certain areas, you probably can, but you're getting more bang for your buck. You're getting more rooms still. And we can find a 3-bedroom place for pretty much the $750 we're paying for a small 2-bedroom flat here. So there's no trepidation at the moment. It's all excitement. It's all, I have got something I can achieve, and I can cut down on this and that because I've now got something to really focus on. I've got a goal that I know I can do and not just a pipe dream.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's kind of where I am at the moment. Now, I know that's going to change at some point. I know the panic's going to set in. Things won't go quite as well. Your car will probably break and we'll need to get that fixed out. And then the budget will start saving. But, yeah, at the moment, it's got me, again, just continually where my mental health is improving. I'm in a very good place with it at the moment.
Yeah.
I dare say another massive lockdown, which puts the kibosh on everything, will hit me hard. But no, that's where I am now.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, no, it's excellent. It's we kind of the fear was a lesser part of things. It was definitely more excitement, and it sounds as though you've got, like you said, you're in the right mental health space to make that decision. So so it's just the timings now, isn't it? Just sorting out how long it'll take you to make that move, and I suppose, you know, for your partner to find a new job and things like that as well.
Yeah, so that's the one thing we've got to make sure is in place first. My partner needs to find work before we go, because we can't afford for us to go without one of us in work. And it makes sense for me to spend a year studying, getting anything I need, qualifications wise, to get some kind of job in mental health, even if it's a learning job along the way, or whatever that involves. But my partner needs to be in work, so that will have to be in place. But again, that gives us a goal to work towards. You know, I now can focus on knowing I've got universal credit. I can focus on getting the qualifications I need to get a job I need to get, and we go from there. It's all just so good, and already it's a case of, right, what can we chuck out? What can we start getting rid of? What don't we actually need, so we can make the move? Unfortunately, I do need to bring the children. I can't. I've been told I can't kick those out. I can't put those into the rubbish heap.
That's
you met them. They're insane, those kids.
Yeah. Bless them. They're very sweet.
Oh no, that's not what I would call them. They just don't stop. Honestly, I'm. So this is the other thing I want to talk about. So I suppose it's a decent segue. It's they've gone back to school today. As this is recording, they've gone back to school, and I've gone through a range of emotions with it. From the, I don't want them back at school. I don't want them to go back at school. It's nothing. They're guinea pigs at the moment. They're treating our kids as guinea pigs to see what happens. To the, okay, look, they can go back because the school is putting in the precautions needed. Although they're making some weird decisions, I'll talk about those in a sec. That just really I'm not happy with, but you've got to abide by them. To the point over the past couple of weeks where I've just gone, I don't care if there's a second outbreak, just give me a couple of weeks without them. They can go back to school and take the risk, because otherwise they're going to be murdered. So I've gone through all those emotions, but today just feels weird now they've gone. It's quiet for the first time in, 6 months?
Yeah, 6 months, yeah.
But yeah, it's like the first time I've had proper quiet in 6 months, and already managed to get like a voiceover done for one of the new 5-minute ramble review videos that I'm looking at doing. Yeah, I'm lost, but also it feels good, man. It feels so good. Both of them were nervous today. You could tell that. I think Edith was nervous because it's just going back to school. I don't think the COVID-19 has anything to do with it. I think it's just nervous because she's not been to school for 6 months. My son, I think, is showing trepidation with it. I've said to him, first thing you do when you go in, speak to your tutor. Because of your ADHD, find out where you can go or who you can go and speak to if you feel anxious or overly nervous. Because they've got to have something set up. That is a school that has prided itself on its Senko relations and dealing with kids with mental health or disabilities and things like that. So they've got to have something in place for the kids who can't cope with it.
Yeah.
So I hope that's the case. But you could tell this morning there was a nervous excitement about both of them. And it struck me more with my daughter because I didn't realise how much she's grown up in these 6 months either, because I've seen her every day. But watching her sort of how she's going to school and the reactions to going to school and getting ready for it and things like that, it's completely different to how it was 6 months ago when she was going to school.
Right.
And I think we're starting to see now kids are going back to school rather than us going back to work or getting back to normal in inverted commas. That's where we're seeing the effect of what's happened in the past 6 months, because kids, especially younger kids, have grown so much in that time.
Yeah. Hanging around with adults all that time will have definitely changed the way they behave too. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, Edith likes to sit down with a cigar with her slippers and, but yeah, no, it does, and it has an effect because they're not around kids their own age. They haven't been, for a good portion of it, they weren't able to. But yeah, what really got me angry though about the whole school return thing is Lucas's school. I won't name it because it's unfair to name what the school is, but they've got a lot of the basic rules, where you can, make sure your clothes are washed and fresh every single day just to cut down on infection risks, and there's going to be social distancing. Everything there is fine. But then it's the case of they've got to wear full school uniform properly. Can they afford new school uniform to send the kids back into? Can they? And all the bits they need? I don't think they can. Or they can't guarantee that they can. So I think it's wrong to go, you've got to wear this certain school uniform. And the other thing they've done is they are insistent on the kids should be wearing masks where possible, which is fine. I agree with that. But they've decided that the masks must be a single plain colour. We shouldn't be telling the kids it's got to be this, it's got to be that. Because I know when we got Lucas a mask and we got Edith a mask, we got the masks that were fun because we didn't want it to feel like it was something that was a big scary thing that they've got to start doing. We wanted it to be sort of hey, look, you can customise this, you can make it a part of you. So, my son's got a Romford Raiders mask, he's got a Mo Salah mask, my daughter's got a Pokemon mask. And everyone, when you see them out and about, is wearing patterned masks or logo masks and all things like that. But the school have decided they've got to be a plain colour. Any colour you want, but they've got to be plain. And I was like, but surely some of these kids are wearing masks that they've got because it helps them feel comfortable. And if you take that from them and go, you've got to conform to this, you're just, all you're doing is upping their anxiety at a time when they're feeling anxious anyway. And it's the one thing that has really, really pissed me off. And I don't know what to do about it. I know there's nothing I can do about it because I'm just going to be one voice at the school, and a lot of people will be like, no, the school has said it's what it is what it is. But I'm going to sound like I'm like net mums here, but am I being unreasonable?
That doesn't seem unreasonable to me. I mean, it's got a lot of schools, not all schools, but they'll take any excuse to just crack down and be authoritarian, you know. I don't know whether it's because they think it'll make the kids easier to control. I guess that's what it is. I mean, you know, there's arguments about school uniform, like, is it just a means of control, or is it so that, you know, poorer kids might, if you're wearing like your regular clothes, poorer kids might get picked on. I've always thought, that's a bit iffy. I always thought it's a bit authoritarian, to be honest. But, you know, I feel like an old hippie the older I get.
No, see, on that, I agree with you. So just to interrupt, I fully agree with you, because now you can tell a school uniform that's been bought out of a Marks and Spencer compared to one that's been bought out of Primark or Tesco's. There's a difference in how that looks still. You can tell who's had their shoes bought out of a shoe zone, or who's gone to get them custom made from Gucci or something like that. You can tell the difference in what quality of financial life someone has. Buy a school uniform as much as you can regular clothes. The fact that most regular clothes, named clothes, are actually marketed also at poorer families, so you can get it cheap out of, as much as I despise the company, out of Sports Direct and places like that. As much as charity shops now aren't as badly seen as they were when I was a child in the 80s, I don't think normal clothes are an issue anymore, and I think you're right. I think it's an authoritarian thing rather than a we must protect the children at all costs thing.
Yeah, and it should be changed. So sad to see that they're doing that with the masks, really. Like when you say it can be really important, especially not even just for kids who are particularly vulnerable, but all kids, because, you know, their mental health has suffered through this time as well, and it would just be something comforting for them. I know there's an argument that some of them will probably just wear things with like a giant willy on them, which would, to be fair, would make me laugh. But most kids are just going to wear something, you know, like with the Avengers on, or with, you know, Adventure Time or something. They're not going to,
or their football team,
the football team, or whatever makes them happy.
And honestly, it's really frustrating because you can turn around and go, look, if we deem your mask to be offensive, such as someone's got one with a willy on it, or someone's got something offensive to stereotypes on it, do you know what? Fine, take that mask, confiscate it, and then give them a surgical mask that they must wear for the rest of that day. They are not allowed to wear that mask into school. I get that. But something that's got emblazoned in, like where I am, West Ham or Tottenham colours, Liverpool colours, whatever, that should be okay. And wearing a rainbow mask. What if you've got a child that, you know, throughout this has got a rainbow mask because they wanted to show support for LGBTQ+, and you take that away from them? What message are you sending them that it's not okay to be yourself? It's not okay to show certain things. It's not okay to have the thing that has been a comfort to you. And at the same time, I can't argue the point for my son, because I know he's got his Salah mask. He loves his Salah mask, and it's good for him. It helps him, encourages him to want to wear it. He's got his Romford Raiders mask for the hockey team he plays for, which those kids could have shown solidarity, because there are other kids from his team at that school. That's a good solidarity thing they can show. It allows them to recognise each other, I suppose, in the hall. And they can't do that. And now, when do they get to wear it? So there's just so many little things that all this, we've got to get back to normal. We've got to get the kids back to learning. I'm not sure kids are going to go back straight away and be able to learn, because they're going to be too anxious, and they're going to be constantly worrying about, if I'm doing this wrong, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Oh, no, I've gone too near this friend. Or I know what my mind would be like. I know what my son's mind would be like. I know that will happen with other kids as well, and they need to make the kids feel comfortable. So it's going to be interesting to see sort of like what the kids are like after the first couple of weeks back at school. It's also going to be interesting to see how much kids push the boundaries, because kids love pushing boundaries at the same time. But they are the guinea pigs. It's the next one is everyone's got to get back to work and stuff like that. And The biggest argument I saw, this made me laugh. We need to get people back into work in London because we've got so many empty buildings that just aren't doing anything. You know, what are we going to do with them? And I just thought, well, one, if people can work from home and we're showing that can work on the whole, and we don't need as many buildings dedicated to a particular service, and we've got empty buildings with not much going on in them, I wonder what we could do with these empty buildings that could possibly provide some kind of shelter and maybe even housing. Maybe we could provide homes.
Yeah.
But no, we must get the Londoners back into their offices because that's normal. Damn it, I went political. I'm sorry.
I mean, this situation has exposed the government so much that it's ridiculous. You know, you'd have to be blind not to see how much it's exposed what they're after. But there you go. That's where we are. But yeah, no, I mean, it'll be interested to hear how the kids got on and what they say about their day and things like that. Because I want them to all have because I've got nephews and nieces, I want them all to have a good time, a good experience, and be as safe as possible as well.
Yeah, I want him back in school. Don't get me wrong. You know, take away my thoughts on I think education needs a massive reform and we need to do away with standardised testing and all that stuff. He needs to be in school. I've got no issues with that. But not at the detriment of their mental health, not at the detriment of their physical health. It needs to be in the right situation. And if it comes to it and we start seeing a spike and I've got to take him back out of school, for his own health, for his own safety, I will do that. Find me all you bloody well like, but that I will be doing what's best for my kid. At the moment, I say I'm teetering on I know this is what's best for him at the moment, but I am only teetering to that. I'm still not 100% sure yet.
Fair enough.
So, but I think that's really about it. I mean, I could go into a deep dive rant about something, but I won't. I'll save it. What I will do, actually, talking about this, is I might try and see if I can get Lucas on a recording next week and see how he's coped with his first week or few days back. It'd be nice. It'd be interesting to get an insight about how it's affected a child's mental health direct from a child, rather than us second guessing it all.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, so I think that's what we'll do. I'll try and get him on. He never shuts up, so he'll probably be nervous when he goes on and probably barely only answering yes and no. So if that works, I might get us to babysit him via interviews more often just to keep him quiet.
Why not?
But yeah, there's that to look forward to. You got anything else you want to add, Stu?
No.
Apart from, you found out we're moving, so you want to double your efforts to get to Scotland?
Absolutely. We're going no matter what, even if I'm living in a tent.
Yeah, that Marsh family's coming up. We are not staying.
You got it.
But as usual, I'll buzz my way through a sign off. Come and join us on Discord for any reason. If you want to chat video games, that's grand. If you want to chat books, films, that's grand. If you want to rant about anything, that's grand. If you want to speak to other people without judgment about your mental health, no matter how dark you feel it is getting, we are there for you. Again, we know nothing's perfect. We know we're not going to give a perfect catch-all answer to anyone, but the community is there to help. Follow us on Twitter. If you like what we do, you can support us via Ko-fi or even Patreon. We're adding some extra bonus things to Patreon, so you'll be able to get these nice and early, unedited, before it goes up properly. And we do some bonus episodes as well, which are Patreon exclusive. No mental health chat in those. It's all just pop culture type stuff. So you're not going to need to pay to get anything to do with mental health. And plenty of new stuff, hopefully in the works. Now that the kids are back at school, I can concentrate on other bits as well. So you should start seeing a lot more good content coming from us. But as usual, thank you for joining us, and until next time, stay safe.